Hello and welcome. Campbell here from Autodidactic. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me. And today we are going to have a look at Paris in the 1870s. And Paris was, as you'll see, pretty much destroyed in the 1870s. And all this destruction is from the Siege of Paris, which took place from the 19th of September 1870 to the 28th of January 1871. And it ended in the capture of the city by forces of the various states of the North German Confederation led by the Kingdom of Prussia. And the siege was the culmination of the Franco-Prussian War. So we've seen this before. War, it's always about war, but it's always to do with, some silly reason they start a war. It's always political. But as we know, these wars are really just to destroy our cities, to destroy the past is a big one, right? They want to destroy the past, get rid of the old world, the old tech, and bring in their new world order, right? Instead of the old world order. And the new world order is, of course, we all have to pay to live here. We don't get the technology of our forefathers, and they control everything. This is what they want. So let's get in and have a look at France in 1870. Okay, so here we are in France. And as you can see, destruction everywhere. Look at this building completely destroyed. Now, 1870 as well, we're told this is all by cannon. Now, that is a lot of destruction, right? This is what they had, cannons, basically. That was their biggest weapon back there, also we're told. And look at this building, like this whole section is just missing. Up here, it looks like these could be marks from cannonballs. I'm not sure, but on the front, for this amount of destruction, there's no cannonball hits on the front of this building, is there? But all the windows are blown out. It does look like it's been burnt as well. But, this is a big masonry building. I'm not sure that fire would, collapse this whole bit here. And as you can see, all the rubble's on the ground here. Of course, we have our ladder. We always have the ladder. Shout out to UAP. Yeah, so it's all down here. So this has been basically blown from the inside, right? This has been blown out to the front of the road. And we do have over here one of the old world lampposts still standing. But as you can see, this whole scene is just destruction. Here's another shot. And again, just total destruction. And again, we're told this is by cannonballs, but there's not a lot of evidence of, cannonballs hitting these buildings. Is there? I mean, it looks that these are very big holes for cannonballs. They might be cannonballs. I'm not saying they're not. But for the overall destruction we're looking at here, like the side of this building here that's completely collapsed. And again, all the rubble is out the front. So it's like it's been blown from the inside out. And again, look down the street. Everything is destroyed. It's quite reminiscent of what was going on in the Americas in the same time period, right? In the civil wars. We see these same kind of images of destruction, and we're told it's all by, artillery, cannon fire, and I guess guns, muskets and things. That's all they really had. And just total devastation. We can see here old world walls, and just look at this destruction. Like, this is completely destroyed. So the question is, can this be done by cannons? Here's another shot, and it's the same story, right? Look, this whole corner, this corner building destroyed. But again, all this rubble's on the outside. I mean, this does look like it's been stacked up a bit. I'm not sure. But it does kind of look that way. But it could just be, I don't know, blown out, cascading down. But again, all the rubble is out the front. I very much doubt they've gone and collected this from somewhere else and brought it out the front. So we can see the insides of these buildings. Some old world tiling there, thick walls, but But this is complete destruction of the old world, of course, given to us under the guise of war, you know. And the thing about war, you know, it's always a country against another country, isn't it? But we know these countries, they collude behind the scenes. Look at what's happened in the last 3 years. They all had the same narrative. Look at things like the Antarctic Treaty and all the countries that are, you know, they're together. They've all got bases and things in what we're told is Antarctica. And then they're all working together, but they want us to believe that they're all fighting, and that's the reason for all these wars and all this destruction. Here is a massive building. And of course, all the buildings in this book are old world buildings, right? They're all old world. Obviously, it's Paris, one of the better old world cities. But as we can see in this, even as good as Paris is now, look at what was destroyed. It was so much better. And this, you know, it's the same architecture we see everywhere, right? We've got the columns here. We've got the symmetry, you know, everything's completely symmetrical, chimneys everywhere, all the balconies and everything, and just destroyed. And again, this kind of looks like it's been burnt. It could just be very old, but the destruction, like that, there's nothing behind this facade. The whole back of the building's gone. Another one. Okay, so that's an interesting statue here. I'm not sure what's going on there. Armless and handless. Here we see in the background, look at all these towers. And this building again, destroyed. And this is an interesting photo, right? Because this again kind of looks like fire, just from all the, you know, the black coming out the windows. Looks like, you know, fire. And of course, you know, in war, they love to burn things. But again, you know, setting these buildings on fire would not collapse them like this. And all these trees are fine out in the front here, not to mention these big ones here. So is this fire? Is this maybe a weapon from above, as we've, you know, seen recently that they're using? Or is it, as they tell us, just, you know, cannon fire and fire, basically? Could that produce this destruction? That's the question. Again, and I mean, look at these buildings. They're just, this looks like a palace. Got the big lake in front, which we, you know, we see this all the time. They've always got water out the front. Got their statues, the old world ironwork up here, the wrought iron, the columns, arched windows. It's always the same, isn't it? And just destroyed, completely destroyed. And of course, you know, when they do this and they have a building like this, then they'll just come along and say, well, it's no longer safe, so we'll just knock it all down. You know, they don't try and rebuild anything. And of course, this is the agenda, right? Destroy the old world, our world, and replace it with their, you know, their L world, their closed circuit electric world, which they all want us to jump into. You know, AI, VR, all these things. This is what they're creating. The L, the electricity, closed circuit, not free energy like these buildings were producing and the old world had access to. Again, more destruction here. And this is a good one because you can see there's wires or cables or something coming out the top here. So these buildings, now again, 1870, and this was old in 1870, but it looks like it's got some kind of wiring going on. This looks more like a strap, but we know they use strapping, right, to ground the buildings and to get the free ether energy down into the circuit that they can use. And, you know, the same, you know, iconography, right? It's this, you know, what we're calling sort of Phoenician-esque branding on all the buildings, and we see it all over the realm. So, you know, was this the old world or was this rebranding? You know, like if they come along and put these statues and things up afterwards to claim, you know, to claim these buildings that they found, basically. More destruction. And again, this is, I mean, this looks kind of like, you know, a bit like rebar. It's a bit flimsy, but metal, right? Hanging out the wall. Looks like it's been connected to something. Could be some kind of array. I'm not sure. But look at this destruction. And again, you know, when they do this, they collect all this rubble and all the bricks and the old world stuff, and they use it to rebuild into their image, right? This is an interior view. We can see this looks like it's off a stairwell, old world wrought iron. And I mean, just look at the intricacy and workmanship that's gone into this. And of course, the New World rulers just destroy it. That they don't care at all, because what they're doing is getting rid. Because this is tech, this is a technology that I don't want us to have. Because this ironwork never used to rust, so it didn't need to be replaced, right? So the New World, they love their planned obsolescence, right? So we've got to keep paying and keep paying. And when we buy things, they don't last, they break, and we've got to buy them again. And this is what they love, right? Just us paying to live here, to live on Earth. Another shot. This looks, I don't know, what is this? A house, maybe at the bottom, but look at this old world infrastructure. Got trees and all types in here. This looks like it's built, I don't know, built into a hill maybe. Lots of vegetation over it though. A few knocked down trees that are, look at this tree, right? It's in the second story. Trees everywhere. This one's fine, but look at the destruction. And look at the ground, right? There's just rubble all across here. This looks like old world, paving, the old world roads, but just destroyed. 1870 in Paris. Now here we have something that hasn't been destroyed as of yet. And in this one, we can see we have our nice building on top, with a nice Antiquitech antenna with a mercury ball. Well, that's what we think they are. We have found these balls. People have cracked them open and they've found mercury in them. Of course, it's so much nature, gardens everywhere. But see this, 2 levels underneath. Now, this is what is normally buried that we don't see. So I find this interesting. And of course, we have someone down here standing in the doorway, a few people here. And this is, will it tell us? No, no name. So this is some building in Paris, but this is what it all looked like before they went in and destroyed it. Just a cityscape. This, I mean, look, these aren't even paved roads. So we've got this, amazing old world built out city, but look at the roads. It just looks, so this destruction, you'll see this a lot, this mud, right? Mud flood. It looks like, you know, as usual, right? They're fibbing to us. They're telling us a story that's not true. So was this caused by some kind of reset, this destruction? And we can see this bridge. It's just been snapped in half and destroyed into the river. And we've got the old world down here. We've got our nice big towers that we see everywhere. These look like those tall brick chimneys. And I'm not even sure what this thing over here is, but it looks pretty big. More destruction. Again, looks like it's blown out from the inside, because you can see there's stuff down here on the outside. Again, this looks like fire. So I'm sure that fire's been a part of this. But again, it doesn't look like you could do this with cannons to me. Cannons and fire, of course. And here's one of those big brick towers, chimney things, and it's just been blown in half. Again, look at this bridge. Beautiful old bridge, destroyed. We've got this, this looks newer. This is just a flat sort of one. The old ones always seem to have the arches. They love their arches in the old world. But these big, pillars into the river, how did they build these into a river? What were they scuba diving? What they tell us is they had something called the bell, and it was basically shaped like a bell, and you'd lower it down under the water and then pump all the water out. And then people would go down into this bell and work. And this is how they tell us they built these pillars and pylons. But in the 1870s, they didn't have torches, or so they say. So they were using fire, candles, lanterns, which burn oxygen. So if you're underwater in a bell, using fire for your light, you're going to destroy the oxygen. So it's a silly story as far as I'm concerned. So, how did they build these? Were these canals dug out first and all this built and then the water let in? I mean, that kind of would make sense to me. But as far as people in the 1870s building these, underwater. Yeah, I don't buy it personally. More destruction. And I mean, it's just so blatant, isn't it? And it's pretty sad. This is the world that was, and it's clearly just been attacked and destroyed. I mean, look, the whole top roof of this is gone. Got all the chimneys everywhere, and even, is that a chimney? I'm not sure if that's a chimney. But you can see there's artwork on the side of that as well, and this one up here. So there was so much art in the old world, and nature. It was everywhere. And again, this thing has just been destroyed. Does look like a bit of fire as well. A house, a lone house out in the country, and look at this old world. I mean, this looks like a turret from a castle or something. And, we've got an arched door down here, but look at the destruction. All this rubble is blown on the outside. Okay, so if you're shooting cannons at this, I mean, you could collapse a wall, yep, and it would come out to the outside, but a lot of this stuff would be going to the inside as well, right? Because, obviously the force is coming outward in. And again, can cannonballs even do this? Because as we look at this, there's no cannonball holes. It would take a few cannonballs to make this destruction, and we would see, all the cannonballs that didn't cause it. There'd be holes everywhere, but we don't see that. Here we have someone, not sure what the uniform is there. Sort of looks more German than French to me. And he's just sitting on, I mean, this looks like it's made of wood and sticks and things. So I'm not exactly sure what this picture is, but look at the mud everywhere. Like this looks like some kind of reset has gone on. More of the same. Again, look at the roads, just dirt, rubble everywhere. And, again, this is, for a war, if you're bringing in cannons and things, I mean, there's a bit of a road here, clearly, but you would need to be able to get all your equipment around, right? You can't really pull cannons over all this rough stuff very easily. Much better to have roads, but, we don't see that a lot. And again, look at all the rubble on the outside of the buildings. And yes, I know if this wall collapsed, it would go on the outside. But again, all the force is coming from the outside in. We do see rubble here. So my main question is this caused, can this be caused by the weapons that we're told they had in the 1870s? Here's just a wide-scope photo. And look at these huge buildings up on the hill. They are massive. Okay, this one, sometimes they've got names. Oh, here we go. The fort, the Gissy, general panorama of the interior. So this, they're saying, was a fort. Are these barrels? These look like barrels. This looks, okay, so this looks like what that guy was sitting on in the last photo or a few photos back. This, it looks like sort of wicker, doesn't it? I don't know if it is are they windows? Was this a construction? I'm not sure, but total devastation. All these barrels that, probably, gunpowder. And I mean, maybe they were putting gunpowder barrels inside the buildings and blowing them up. I'm not sure. But it definitely doesn't look like, like troops of men have come in, army. And of course, the army in wars, the army, are mainly recruits, right? They're not professionals. They're just in there with their weapons, and walking around blowing stuff up. But this is a pretty precise destruction, and it's just a total destruction, right? The whole city destroyed, just like in the Americas in the 1870s. And here we have the cannons. Look at them all lined up. So yes, definitely lots of cannons, to just, to show us, to give us a story that this is what's caused this destruction. But again, is this what they were using to do this? Because, I mean, this is total devastation. There's, in this one, there's not even any trees, no nature left. This building, sure, this looks more like this was done by cannons, right? You can see bits missing where, cannonballs would have hit and knocked out the walls and things, but that's not what we see in a lot of the photos. Maybe that's why this has got cannons in it, because this actually looks like it was done by cannons. And I'm sure some of it was. Probably the cleanup job, right? Again, from firing cannons. They've done this. What do you think? I mean, that's a lot of destruction. Buried buildings. Was this buried beforehand, or is this just the result of the war? I'm not sure, but we've got our arches here. You know, we've got our typical features of the old world. And this, so the Fort Von Vey, the entrance and exterior, is that what it says? Entree, exterior, yeah. Okay, the entrance to the fort and the exterior of it is what they're saying. So again, massive old world fort. This, you know, this looks like a cannonball, wound, you know, a lot of destruction out here. And look at the brickwork here, you know, we see this a lot as well. The arched windows, all, you know, it's all old world. We've even got remnants of an antenna here. And then look at this building. It's just gone. There's just literally just this front wall and this bit left. Completely destroyed. And, you know, this is the whole city, pretty much. I mean, look at this. Just craziness. Here we have our piles of cannonballs. They always love to show them this. But, you know, cannons as well, they're very big and heavy, you know. I mean, I'm not even sure that cannons are what they tell us. All these cannons that you know we can see from the old world, some of them are so ornate, some of them are in, you know, different parts, some of them don't even have open chambers, and they call them cannons. But these ones, these are just the standard ones. But again, imagine moving them around, you know, on this dirt. It's not an easy job, obviously they have, but is this what you could, because in a war, you know, people are fighting back at you, right? The French would have been defending their city. So, you know, can you move all this artillery around and destroy all this, you know, because you're going to be going pretty slow pushing one of these cannons, right? Even if you've got horses and stuff. So you'd be easily picked off, really, I would think, because it's not like you can just quickly turn and fire a cannon at someone. Obviously, they'd have guns and things, but just the whole scenario does not look like an 1870s cannon fight, does it? Of course, like I said, they did have gunpowder and they could, you know, create explosives. But if that's the deal, why are they showing us all these cannons and cannonballs everywhere? Looks like they're trying to build a narrative. More cannons, and look at this building. Look at that. Completely just decimated. That would take a lot of cannonballs. And just rubble everywhere, trees still standing, and the old world destroyed. So I just wanted to show you this, you know, this is what was going on in Paris, 1870s, the siege of Paris. And when we look at the US and the Civil War, we see the same pictures, the same destruction. And I don't even know. Look at this. This is an old world war, but look at all this buildup of dirt everywhere, dirt on the grounds. It just looks like something else has gone on here. So let me know what you think really went on here. Do you think this was, as they tell us, the siege where, you know, armies came in and just attacked Paris, or is this something else that we're looking at? Maybe something more on the lines of what we've seen happen in, you know, Paradise, California, and more recently Maui, because this seems to be going on again at the moment. Because as we've heard, their catchphrase is build back better, right? Now, to build back better, you have to destroy everything first, right? And again, this one looks like fire. It's got some fire remnants, but fire would not do this. So, you know, this could be cannonballs, these sort of bits of destruction here, but to take the whole building down, I'm not convinced. We've got the old world roads here, cobblestone, and more old world buildings being attacked and destroyed. So I'll put the rest of these photos, I'll leave the link for this book in the description so you can go through it, check it out for yourself. So thanks for spending some time with me. Thank you for subscribing, sharing this, liking the video. I do appreciate you all. Of course, if you would like to support me and my work in this channel, you will find links below. If you'd like to donate, there's also, some really good products, health products and things, some cool books on how to get off grid and how to educate yourself again to build your own, free energy devices, to build your own structures and to educate ourselves so that we can live without relying on the system, because that's what they've done. They want us to completely rely on the system, right? So that we can't do for ourselves. And that way, we're not out there building the world that we want. We're just following what they tell us. And because of that, we end up building the world that they want. And who are they? Well, they are not us. That's my answer. They are not us. We don't know who these, ruling people are. Are they even from here? Are they just controlled? Are they just psychopaths? My intuition tells me that they're not from here and they are controlled. And this is a takeover. They've tried it back in the 1870s where, obviously with a bit of success, right? They've destroyed the old world, and that they're doing it again as a land grab, again, to rebuild in their image. And we can even see the photographers in this photo. But look at all this rubble everywhere. Just craziness. So thanks for spending some time with me. Stay awesome, and I will talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.